Jacob Juma and I went to the same school, but different times. I joined Bungoma High for my Form 5 and Form 6, that is advanced level certificate, and then Jacob Juma joined it later. He was an 844. Jacob Juma's guardian was Jirongo. Jirongo is my age mate. So Jacob Juma ni kijana mdogo sana. Jacob Juma was an entrepreneur. Jacob Juma was an entrepreneur. He held so many companies. And most of the companies that he held were companies that would win a tender. For example, I could have a road construction company. It wins a tender. When it wins a tender, when I'm called upon to construct, let's say, affordable houses or a road or anything or a hospital or even the stadiums that they are completing, Kina Dandora, Kina what, then I would go to you who has a genuine company and say, I have won this tender. Can you do the work? So the government pays me, whatever. He had that thing. He had so many companies. Most of them were conning companies. A good example, he opened a company with the sister to Mudi Awori. The same company, he opened it with Waluke, the MP for Sirisia. It was just a paper company. And he was so well placed, that there was a shortage of maize, and he just did it on paper. Blah, 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 blah. You know people in the government. You know the people in the government. So you win a tender, and then you use the same people in the government. Because if today I was in the government and we gave you a tender, then tomorrow I misbehaved, the tender is terminated. You take the government, not me, you take the government to court, the government pays you, and behind the back you pay me something. So he did that. There was a shortage of maize. He came up and claimed that he can, Wahungu and Waluke were non-executive directors. The executive director was Jacob Juma. So here he comes with a phantom company. The company is supposed to have the capability of bringing maize. So they reach a place, the government fails on its part, then the company doesn't bring. Then Jacob Juma goes to Cape Town and comes with an invoice to prove that on a certain street, what street can we say? On a certain on Madenge Street, address number this and this, there is a very big warehouse where I had stored for 3 months tons and tons of maize. Now the government has turned against me, against my company, in such a way that we were supposed to supply the government maize, but we didn't supply. It turned down. And then the maize, it overstayed, and I placed it in a ship, and somewhere near Mauritius, since the maize was expired, I had to empty it into the Indian Ocean. So the government is taken. Remember, when the government is being taken to court, when the government is being taken to court, remember, you have talked to the government side. Just like I've said, you are going to win the case, and even those people who are being seen to be vehemently tearing the government will get something. So you make a drama in court, then the judge, who may or may not, remember those are the days when people used to say, why hire an advocate when you can buy a judge? So here, the judge passes that the government failed in the contract. But you did not even have a maize for Gorogoro. So it is decided that the Jacob Juma company, which he co-owned with Waluke, which he co-owned with Wahungu, should be paid billions of shillings for not even having a Gorogoro of maize. But look here, that is how the intelligence people come in, the NIS or something like that. Much, much later, somebody went to South Africa. Went to that Mathenge road we have said, counted, went to, you said it is plot number 234. Yeah, he goes to 234, finds, hey, hata hakuna warehouse there. And he decides, okay, let me start Mathenge. I'm just calling it Mathenge. Let us start investigating this Mathenge road. Start from 01 to the end of Mathenge, and then goes the other side and looks for Mathenge. I'm not Mathenge, for a warehouse. There is no warehouse, there's no company that like that. And actually, the officers, they find that it's not even a shipping. I think they found it is a lawyer's. But anyway, it may not have even been a lawyer. But it was a block of offices and not a warehouse which could place food, maize to supply Kenya for the duration of the drought. Now the government now turns back and sues the company that Jacob Juma had. This time, Jacob Juma is long dead. The remaining directors are Wahungu and Waluke. So they had to they had to go to jail. I think this case is still on. Again, I'm still on Jacob Juma before I go to his last days on earth. We have somebody called Jimmy Wanjigi. Jimmy Wanjigi, his father was a city politician. The father was known very much as Maina Wanjigi. But the full names of Maina Wanjigi was James Maina Wanjigi. Then he named his son after himself, what Americans call Junior. But then the name mostly was Jimmy Maina Wanjigi. But the son decided to call himself Jimmy Wanjigi. Jimmy Wanjigi is another entrepreneur who liked acting behind the scenes. Jimmy Wanjigi is somebody who, if look at our politicians. Let us start at the position of an MCA. Look at the amount an MCA uses during the campaign. Now, if you have to tabulate that, the very known amount of money an MCA campaigns for, is not, if you combine it, the one that he has publicly declared, if you place it all together, even the 5 years that he's going to be an MCA, if he has to save each and every cent, he will not regain what he's campaigned for. So, what of the people who campaign for higher positions? This is how people like Jimmy Maina Wanjigi comes in. When you campaign for, let's say, the presidency, don't be shocked to find that a person campaigning for the presidency may not even use his money and may even end up getting more money than he had when he entered the campaign. There are these entrepreneurs here who support you, and then when you take over, most of the government tenders will go to his companies. Now, Jimmy Wanjigi, nobody knew his face. Even when Saitoti died, everybody was mentioning Jimmy Wanjigi, Jimmy Wanjigi. But he could walk past you and you would not know him. He used to play behind the scenes, or what our kids called chini ya maji. So Jimmy Wanjigi bankrolled Saitoti's campaign. When he bankrolled Saitoti's campaign, then Saitoti died. Uhuru Muigai Kenyatta inherited Saitoti's team. I don't know how the campaign would have gone if Saitoti would have not died. But I'm not, even in the other tapes, I'm not trying to say Uhuru caused, no. But if Saitoti would have been alive and Uhuru would have been very weak. So among the things that Saitoti, the campaign machinery that Uhuru inherited from Saitoti was one Jimmy Wanjigi and his bag of money. And you know what Jimmy Wanjigi wanted? He wanted SGR from Mombasa to Nairobi. He was told, okay, we will give you that. Unknown to Jimmy Wanjigi, Uhuru Kenyatta had already agreed with another entrepreneur on the SGR from Mombasa to Nairobi. So you thought, we will give you. Then you can remember Jimmy Wanjigi is the one who told Uhuru and Ruto, he told them to tell Stephen Kalonzo Musyoka that he is not going. I don't know how I'll put it. For those of you who understand Sheng or Swahili, nyinyi mjue tu vile mtamwambia, otherwise huyo mtu simutaki. I think that is the nearest I can say of that. Just said, nyinyi jueni vile mtafanya, lakini simutaki. So they went to Kalonzo Musyoka's place and said that they went to Kalonzo Musyoka's place and said that they went to his place and they entered his gazebo. And you see, the issue of telling Kalonzo fell on Uhuru. Kalonzo has written in his book that Uhuru smoked a lot and was nervous, and but then later he said, tafuta kiti ingine lakini sio ya hizo mbili. The person who decided that was the person who vetoed Stephen Kalonzo Musyoka was Jimmy Wanjigi. So Uhuru Ruto came. Wanjigi now started using third party to attack the Uhuru Ruto government. And two people come in mind. He may, I just know a few because I'm not in his system. He used Alfred Keter, to cause chaos. He also used he used Jacob Juma to cause chaos. And I remember one day in Eldoret, during a public meeting, Uhuru stood up and addressed Keter. Said, huyo mtu wako, huyo anakutuma. Mwambie SGR haitaishia Nairobi. There is a SGR too that goes to Kisumu and beyond. Mwambie atulie. So, sending other people, I think the best thing to do is do it yourself, isn't it? That is why Jimmy Wanjigi came out and he even declared that he wants to be the president. Now back to Jacob Juma. When your life is in danger, kindly don't say if I do not know who killed Jacob Juma. We call ourselves Boba, Bungoma Old Boys Association. I don't know who killed my fellow Boba. He says, if anything happens to me, blame Ruto. It could be Ruto. It could be anybody else. But of course not me. So, I wanted to put it this way, that Jacob Juma saying that if anything happens to him, they should blame Ruto. It is similar to what happened to Bishop Muge. It is similar to what happened to Bishop Muge. People were unable to kill Bishop Muge. But when Bishop Muge said that if I die, my blood will haunt blood will haunt Okondo for the rest of his life. Then people came to Eldoret and told acting superintendent Elijah Oda that we have come and we have been sent. Of course, he had already received a phone call from Nyati House, and then he gave out a constable for that. What I'm trying to say is that when you say that your life is in danger, it is possible, just like in Bishop Muge's case, for a third party to come and kill so that it is blamed on. So there is a possibility that somebody else killed Jacob Juma and then the blame ended up on Ruto. But I think I know who killed that. Immediately Jacob Juma died, within hours, Jimmy Wanjigi was on phone to London. How much is one of the best coffins? I don't know. I think, I'm not even sure whether Kibaki and Moi's coffins came from abroad, but Jomo Kenyatta's coffin came from London. And you know what? Aboba also had his coffin from London. Jimmy Wanjigi ordered for a state-of-the-art coffin from London within hours of Jacob Juma's death. And then Jimmy Wanjigi went to Jacob Juma's widow. Within hours, no postmortem has been done to Nini. He just told Mrs. Jacob Juma, who is a Kikuyu lady. The Jacob Juma's widow is a Kikuyu. So he went and said, you see, your husband has died and some documents may be of dangerous. Can you go? She went to his closet, came out with files and files. Jimmy Wanjigi took those files and they were never seen. Can you compare this to Lee Muthoga? When GJM died, Lee Muthoga rushed and told I think I'm not sure, but I think it's Mrs. Terry told him, can you give me files from then he was given the files and went off with them. You can even see when Gama Pinto died and the wife was told, even before his body was removed from, even when his body had not been removed from the sub, young people, you don't know, there was a vehicle which used to be called sub and they used to be always white. Before even his Parklands police officers could come and collect his body, somebody came and took so many documents that belonged to Gama Pinto and started. You know, she could not even stop him. She was confused. The husband has just died. Somebody's burning document. So Jimmy Wanjigi came and took files which he never returned. If it quacks like a duck, walks like a duck, flies like a duck, then probably it's a duck. How he got that mentality. And we Bukusus were busy following somebody around. Katochi kakiisha betri. But here somebody who was very smart, went and bought the coffin. He went and footed the... That is when Jimmy Wanjigi now decided that using proxy in politics is not good. Let me go into politics straight away. That is Jimmy Wanjigi. Of course, I sent out people to tell him to try and finance my autobiography. But then, do I keep quiet because of those things and he publishes my autobiography? No. Remember my policy. 100 liters of pure, of fresh milk with 1 cup of maziwa mala. If Jimmy Wanjigi still wants to finance the publication of my memos, he will do it, he can do it. But I can't change what I know. I can only change when stronger evidence comes. But you see, if he finances my book and stronger evidence comes, I cannot retract what I said. I can only say that no comment. Thank you.